like to be able to become a thought leader, an influencer, and an authority in your field? If the answer is yes, listen really close to what I'm about to say. My name is Lily, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about the power of publishing a book and becoming a thought leader and influencer. Now, I'm Lily Patrascu, and I'm a book publisher and personal branding strategist. And over the last few years, I've worked with hand-selected entrepreneurs that wanted to build a brand and attract more business and attract more of the kind of target market they really desired. Now, if you're someone who would love to become a thought leader and influencer, for example, if you want to become someone like Tony Robbins or Les Brown or Oprah, and you're wondering perhaps, how can I ever be like these people, right? How can I ever share a stage with these incredible people and look like them, and not only look like them, but create your own brand, your own version of a luxury brand, your own version of an influencer. And how about if you're thinking, wow, I would love to share the stage with Tony Robbins or Les Brown, or I would love to share the stage with some of these incredible, amazing people like Oprah or Michelle Obama, or I don't know, some people that you truly desire to be like, Brian Tracy, perhaps. And perhaps you don't know how to do it, okay? Now, I'm going to pause for 1 second because I want to see if I'm able to share this live stream with a particular group. And let me see if I can do that right now. Okay, let's see if I'm able to do that. Okay, so basically what I want to tell you about is that wherever you are right now, it's possible for you to raise your influence, to attract more business, and to do a lot more of what you truly desire. Okay, let me see if I'm able to share this. Okay, share to a group. Okay, great. Okay. Okay. Okay, so for those of you watching, I'm here to talk to you about how you can publish a book and become a thought leader, or influencer. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, perfect. So let's go back to the live stream. Okay, now, okay, great. Now, so if you ever wonder, wow, how can I be like Oprah or like Tony Robbins or like Les Brown, but your own version of that, and you really don't know where to start. Perhaps you are a successful property investor or an investor, and you have aspirations of becoming a motivational speaker, or you have aspirations of simply working with more heart-centered entrepreneurs. Well, what I want to share with you is that it's possible to do it, and it can be easier than you think. Okay, now a lot of you perhaps are entrepreneurs, and you are, going about your normal business. And what you'll discover a lot of times is that some entrepreneurs will choose not to do business with you because there isn't enough trust, there isn't enough authority. And sometimes they have doubts, okay? They have doubts about whether you'll be able to deliver on what you are saying that you can deliver. And the reason why they have doubts is because there isn't enough trust, there isn't enough credibility, there isn't enough authority. Now that can change quite dramatically when you publish a book, and not just any book, but a book that is a life-changing book, that is not just a book about your story, but it's a book that solves a problem for other people. And it's the kind of problem that has a massive target market, okay? it's a problem that a lot of people are looking for a solution for. Okay, so whether you are I don't know, whether you know a lot about property investment, for example, or you know a lot about, doing a rent to rent, or I know, blockchain or cryptocurrency, or health, or I don't know, having a good relationship. There's a lot of different topics that you can teach. Even cooking can be a great topic. Okay, and with your business, you are currently making a big difference, whether you realize it or not. And actually, a lot of times I would say that there's this thing called the ripple effect of what you're creating. So every time you are making a difference for one person, you're actually making a difference for a lot more people than you're anticipating. So what I mean by that is that when you're helping one entrepreneur, you're not just helping the entrepreneur, you're also helping their family and their business. And then through that, you're also helping the employees of that particular business, or the different contractors that business has. So you're creating a ripple effect of a massive difference, a lot bigger than you're actually considering. Okay, and to become a thought leader, you need to be more visible. Okay, now what better way to be more visible than to publish a book? Okay, and what happens is that when you publish a book, and not just any book, but a book that transforms the world, what happens is that it's not just a book that transforms the world, but it's a luxury book that transforms the world. So when you do it like that, then people start to take notice of you. Maybe people you have never talked to from your Facebook or your LinkedIn, or even people from your normal business that you do business with. Maybe they've never considered, really, they've never looked at you in a, what I'm trying to say is that when you publish a book, people look at you with different eyes. It's almost like you've upgraded yourself. Okay, and what happens is that people love to do business with authors. The reason for that, there's much higher credibility when you are an author, especially when you are the author of a book that sounds good, looks good, feels good, and you are also someone who is ethical, and you do business with love, and you provide a great service to your community or the people you do business with. When you meet all of those criteria, what happens is that a lot more people are attracted to doing business with you. And I don't know why, but there's something really magical about, let's say, you meeting someone and then getting a signed book, right, from someone. It has this incredible impact on people. And I know about this, and it still makes me smile every time I get that, there's still that wow impact from people when, let's say, you become a published author and then you give your signed book to someone. I don't know why, because let's say to me, it's like I published so many books and I feel sort of the same, like it's no big deal to me, right? But for people, gifting them that book means so much to them. And I really, there's that kind of like wow impact of, gifting them that book. And I've had that happen to me, and I'll tell you how it went. So I went to this event, okay, and there was this property investor, and he was talking about, investing in property, the best techniques and so on. And then at the end, I was, going there to talk to him, and he had this paper bag, almost like this crumpled bag, a bit like, forget what that guy's name is. There's this guy that always has this trench coat that's like, crumpled and so on. So he had that kind of like crumpled paper, sort of paper bag, okay? And he had something in it, and I didn't know what it was, but he pulled out this really glossy looking book from it. And it was a book I was planning to buy anyway. And he said, "This is a gift for you," right? And it just kind of like struck me as, wow, I had this massive impact. It had this massive impact on me. And I remember that I was so keen to go back and do some of his workshops, his property investment workshops. I mean, because he was he was very entertaining as well. It always helps when you're entertaining as an author. So it's not just that you have more authority, but when you're very entertaining, it helps a lot. But what I'm trying to say is that there's this incredible upgrade that happens to yourself, and this amazing transformation that happens to yourself when you publish a book. And I think the first transformation that happens is it happens even before writing. At least when someone works with me, it happens before writing. What I mean by that, okay? Now I've gone from, coming to London with 100 euros in my pocket. At the time, it was roughly 75 pounds, and 2 suitcases full of hopes and dreams. And 18 years later, I'm still living in London, in the UK. And what's amazing is that since then, I've traveled to so many countries, and I've been invited to speak in over 20 countries, and I've spoken actually in 5 countries, and in front of more than 10,000 people. And I've had a reach in social media of 1 million people. Now, this would never have happened if I wasn't an author. And in fact, I overcame a massive fear of public speaking as well that I had since I was a little girl, I remember. Now, what I'm trying to say with this is that when you become a published author, you start to attract opportunities you never considered. For example, my first book got me the opportunity to manage a property business. There was at the time a 6-figure business, and I managed to increase the revenue by gifting one book that my partner had published with a different publisher. And he was gifting that book to everyone that was considered a desirable client, okay? And I was gifting that book on his behalf to those people that I considered were desirable property clients as well. So if you are, for example, a property investor and you want to attract more business and you want to close more deals, I think this is a very good way to close more deals, because what happens is, especially in property, I think a lot of people are fearful, okay? They're very fearful about giving you their money and then you running away with it, okay? And I think that to overcome that, it's a really good way to kind of publish a book. And then that way you establish that trust, because when people see your face on the cover of a book, they're thinking, wow, this person isn't going to run away with my money because here's their name, right? Because a lot of people might be, faking their name and so on. I think there's this fear of being deceived, okay? In London, especially, because I think there are a lot of scams. And I think that a book is a very good way to help you to attract more business, to kind of create that authority, and to establish yourself as a thought leader as well. So, I mean, if you do it in a certain way, okay, it's not for everyone, and it's not going to happen for anyone that writes a book, okay, that writes and publishes a book. And that's why in this video, I'm going to talk about what is actually required to do it in what I believe to be the right way to publish a book, okay? So first, I think it's important to look at, okay, what do you want to write about? And ideally, okay, let's say you're a property investor and you have dreams of becoming a motivational speaker, okay? Now you have 2 options. One option is you can write a book about property, okay? Because when you do property workshops, and actually property is a very good topic because a lot of people, like a massive amount of people, want to learn about property. And when you write about property and then you write about a strategy that such as, I don't know, buying a property with no money down, or I don't know, getting more revenues from a property, through rentals, selling a property at a higher price, or staging the property in a way that it gets sold fast, or, sell your property fast, things like that, right? What happens is that you need to write that book for your ideal desired client. So if your ideal desired client is more landlords, think about what would your landlord like to read, right? And by doing that, you're attracting that particular client that you desire. And then you're doing workshops for landlords. And therefore, all of a sudden, instead of you chasing all these landlords and, you kind of like having to like knock doors and so on. Of course, you can continue to do that. But you can have this strategy where you can organize events for landlords. And that's when they will all come to you. And this is ideal, right? We don't want to be chasing, we want to attract. And when we attract, it's a lot better. Wouldn't you agree? So let me see if there's any comments, because I'm not looking at this right now, but let me see if any of you are commenting on this. Okay. So let me see. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. You're not commenting yet. It's okay. Now, maybe you'll see this a little bit later. Maybe you're doing more exciting stuff on the weekend. Now, coming back to my thing. So you have, that's one option, right? You could write a book for landlords, and that's when you're getting more income, right? Because instead of you chasing all these, landlords, they will come to you, okay, at your event. And what happens is that all these landlords and property investors, they need empowerment. Okay, so you can then organize empowerment events for property investors. Okay, and that's a lot better than, I think, just doing general empowerment, because you want to be doing events for people with money as opposed to not, because otherwise it gets depressing quite quickly. And of course, then if you have, you're generating a lot of money from that, then of course you can do some events for people without money as well to empower them as well. Now, coming back to the topic, right? So let's say if you're in property, you can do a book about property. And what's important is that you create a name for your book that becomes a luxury brand title. And this luxury brand title ideally should be something that you can use in multiple ways. So it can become not only the title of your book, but the title of your workshop, the title of your, TED Talk, the title of your, multiple things that you might be doing, maybe a board game, maybe a card game, something that will empower your community in multiple ways, because people like to experience information in different ways, by reading it, by watching it, by listening to it, by experiencing it in a workshop. And when you're considering all of that, then you'll know that you'll always engage only a fraction of the people you're speaking with, because they all like to experience information in different ways. And that's why, for example, in a workshop, a lot of people prefer to engage with that. They engage with that a lot better than, for example, if you were to just give them the book, right? But the book is a very good starting point for this to happen, okay? Now, what happens when you are actually writing a book and publishing it is that you're structuring your thoughts. And when you structure your thoughts, it's the equivalent of, imagine having, it's almost like your thoughts currently can be, doesn't have to be, okay, but it can be a little bit chaotic, okay? They're like, it's almost like having a library, okay, and all the books are like, disorganized. We're not sure, where's category A, B, and C, and whatever. Everything is like, everywhere and sort of connected, but at the same time, it's like a little bit disorganized, okay? That's the equivalent of your thoughts, okay? But when you publish a book, what happens is that you structure your thoughts. That's the equivalent of having almost like a library that is organized. You have it, all alphabetical, or, in this section you have, section A, section B, section C, and so on. So the really good thing about that is that now, because you're having to structure these thoughts for other people, you're structuring them for yourself. And now it's almost like your life becomes a lot more organized, and any potential coaching you are going to do for your clients becomes a lot more organized and a lot easier for you as well to understand and to kind of organize. And when you have an organized life, it's like everything works a lot better. And what happens is that it's a good idea if you want to become a thought leader. You want to have your ideas not only organized, but they need to have some really great names. Okay, and these great names, they have to be attractive names, sexy names, and names that are, compelling and exciting, and they need to be like result-based names. Because when you have a result-based name, that's when people are thinking, wow, I need to learn that, right? And then, the publishing a book, I mean, there are millions of books, okay? But publishing the right book, that's a completely different story, okay? And we want to be publishing the right book as opposed to the wrong book. And I think a lot of people publish a book and then they realize, oh my God, I published the wrong book, like I can say I have published the wrong book as well. My first one was the wrong book. It was called Meet the Nanny. Okay. And I realized after a while that nobody wanted to meet the nanny. Okay. I mean, okay, it's an exaggeration. What I'm trying to say is that they all wanted to meet the nanny, but for the wrong reasons. They wanted to meet me because I was now an authority and I was, an author, and I was exciting, and that they perceived me as exciting. And a lot of people wanted to meet me and to understand how I had published my own book by myself and so on. But nobody wanted to like really read the book called Meet the Nanny. So to some extent, I had published the wrong book. Okay. Now it still worked. Okay. It still worked because it landed me an opportunity to manage a property business. And it landed me the opportunity to become a magnet for opportunities of all kinds, right? Like even having a boyfriend and also getting invited to hundreds of events. And then later on, after writing more books, to also start speaking worldwide. And what you'll discover is that, unlike me, you don't have to go through the same heartache of publishing the wrong book. You can write and publish the right book, okay? And look, a book is like a vehicle, okay? You can have a really nice vehicle, a Lamborghini, a Porsche, or you can have a vehicle that looks like a secondhand Volkswagen. Now, they will all the vehicles will lead somewhere if you do use them, okay? Now, if you keep them in your house, okay, you don't talk about your book at all, you don't show it to anybody, it's the equivalent of you having a Lamborghini and keeping it in your garage, okay? So you do have to, not only create a luxury product, which is the book, but also show it. You need to show this product everywhere so that more people discover it and more people have the opportunity to talk to you, okay? And, okay, now, coming back to the thing. Now, if you have, okay, now imagine that you're coming to a party, okay? And if you're coming to a party and you turn up in a not so good looking secondhand Volkswagen, then you will get some opportunities, okay? Some people will be still interested in taking a ride with you, okay? And, going to places, especially your friends, yes? And others, they will not be so interested, okay? Now, if you turn up in a Lamborghini, I can almost guarantee you every single person will want to take a ride in your car and go places, okay? And this is the equivalent of what's happening here with publishing a book and, publishing like a normal book that looks sort of okay, and then publishing a book that looks like a luxury brand, that looks really glamorous, that has the right title, that has a desirable solution for what people are really looking for, that is written well, that has, you as the expert featured in it. And not only that, I think that a lot of people simply don't write their bio in the right way, okay? So even people that have done tremendous things, what I've discovered is that you may have spoken even at events with 2,000 people, but if you don't have the video or the photo, the right photo to show it, then you're missing a massive opportunity. I'll give an example of something that happened to me, okay? So I was speaking very briefly at the event where Les Brown was speaking. I was just coming to share my testimonial for my partner, Harry, in front of 1,300 people at the event where Les Brown was speaking in London in 2018. And what happened was that I had about 20 people that were taking photos and videos of me from the audience, and I couldn't use a single one. And the reason I couldn't use a single one was because in all the videos and the photos, I looked like I was alone on stage. And what happens is that I could have come the day before on my own with my microphone, and nobody would have known the difference, okay? And that's what happens with most speakers and authors and coaches and entrepreneurs. They don't have the right photo because photographers are typically trained to take a photo of you on stage, and they are typically trained to take a good close-up, but they are not taught to take the right photo that will show the audience. And what you want is to show the audience, okay? You want people to know that you spoke in front of 2,000 people rather than to make it look like you were there on your own on the stage with 5 other people, for example. Because when you're creating your speaker reel, for example, for you to be booked by different agencies, they are going to be looking for that material of you speaking on stage. And if you have nothing, or you have just a video of you where you look like you're alone on stage, it could still work, but it's just not going to work as well, okay? So let's say if you're speaking in an audience of 2,000 people, then you need some close-ups, of course, yes, because it needs to look like it was you there. And but also, you know, with the audience, to have both, and ideally from the different corners of that stage, so that people know that you were there and you spoke, and you know what you spoke about, and then later on you can cut those bits and use them in order to be booked from the stage. Now, I was talking to someone, okay, and the other day, and she was saying, you know, I charge a certain amount per hour for, you know, speaking at these events, right? So this is another way that you can actually monetize your new, you know, perceived thought leadership, okay? Because when you become an author, you are also going to be offered to speak in, you know, at multiple events. And I've discovered this happened for me and also for my partner, Harry, and from multiple of the authors that I've coached. And those are people that have never spoken before. A lot of them have never spoken before. I'm sure there were many that had also spoken multiple times, you know, at hundreds of events, but I've also had people that had never spoken before at any event. And after publishing their book, they were booked to speak worldwide in so many countries. Now, it happened even for housewives, for former housewives. So, so if it happened for housewives, I can almost guarantee it will happen for you as well if you're up for it, of course. So what I'm trying to say is that when you publish a book, and you publish a book with the right title, and you know the title is great, it's in congruence with your brand, it has a great name that can be a lot of different things, then you're leveraging your experience a lot better. And ideally, in this book, you need to have some sort of system for teaching what you know in a way that you make it structured and easy to understand for other people as well. And again, you also need to have a bio that expresses your real experience, and you know, how many people have you how many people have you coached? How many people have you helped, right? So creating the bio for your book will also help you in general to be booked as a speaker, and also to, I know, feature that on your website. And when you do, it's going to help you in general for, let's say, if you're a coach, if you're an entrepreneur that does any sort of coaching as well, or if you are someone that speaks as well, it could help you. And also for your normal business, if you don't do any coaching or speaking, then it could also help you, because your the people that you generally work with, if they go to your website and they see your profile, your real profile, not your diminished profile that most people have. I'll be honest with you, more than 99% of people that I've seen have a diminished profile or no profile at all on their website. The reason for that is because first, they don't know how to write it. Second, they don't include the real numbers. What I mean by real numbers is, for example, let's say, let's say you're coaching 50 people per month, okay? 50 people per month. And then you have new people, okay, every month. Then over the course of a year, you have how many? I think that's 600 people, right? So you have 600 people every year. And then over the course of 30 years, you have, how many? 1,800 people, right? Or more, no, 18,000 people, right? So what I mean is that then you have a real number of people that you have helped. And what you need is a real number of people that you have helped. There are some people that maybe you've spoken in front of. There are some people you've coached. There are some people you've, talked to on a podcast. There is also the reach of a particular podcast. So for example, let's say you were featured on a podcast with a reach of 100,000 downloads, then you can add that number to your reach. Okay, so what's important is to portray the real number, so that when people start seeing your LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile, ideally you need to have, the real experience of you. You need to know the real bio, how many people have you coached, how many people have you helped, and with what, right? So having a book helps you to structure your thoughts and to be seen as a thought leader as well. And the other thing is, it's really a good idea to have the right colors. And what are the right colors? Your right branding colors. For example, for me, I mainly wear red and white and a little bit of black. Okay. Now you can choose your particular colors you're going to have for your brand, and then be consistent, at least for your events. So that, whether you're going to have a colorful theme, you don't have to have just some colors. You can have a particular theme for what you're going to use. But when you have consistent colors, that helps people to keep you in their mind. It helps you be more memorable as well. Okay. Now, for those of you that are looking to publish a book, and maybe you don't want to have your own book for the moment, you just want to have more exposure for your business, there's an amazing opportunity where you can have a chapter in a book with a celebrity and me. And this opportunity is an opportunity where you can promote your business. You can talk about how you're helping the world, and it will help you to have a bigger impact, more influence, because in this circle of influence of this particular celebrity, you are going to be able to network with other entrepreneurs that are also successful entrepreneurs from around the world, that are heart-centered entrepreneurs. And together, we're going to have a best-selling book on Amazon and an LA Tribune bestseller. And what's amazing about it is that in that process of discovery, in the process of, you can say, downloading your book from your mind, you are going to associate yourself with some really incredible people, and that you can do business with as well. And then you can forever be known as an Amazon, as an Amazon bestselling author and LA Tribune bestseller. And that's something that you can use for branding, to attract more business, to expand your business, to be, to feature on your profile. And in the process, you will also speak at at a conference, and at this conference is going to be placed also on multiple TV channels. If you're interested in this opportunity, and this celebrity has helped many authors to sell a combined total of 200 million books. And if this is something that you're interested in being part of, all you have to do is contact me at hello@Lily.Global. Now, Lily is written Lily .global. There is no .com, okay? It's just .global. Now, one important thing to note is that there are limited spaces for this opportunity, and this opportunity is going to close out very soon. So you have to be quick and message me and talk to me about it so we can get you onboarded. So I'm very excited to see you in this book, if you're going to be part of it. Otherwise, I hope that you can leverage some of the nuggets that I shared today for building your business so you can create a truly magnetic brand, have more fun, and do a lot more of what you desire to do.